Hey y'all, we are going to build on inversions for a third time in our March Movement Madness. Today we're going to use the wall a little bit more and really fine tune our forearm stand and start to work on some fundamental handstand drills. That has been the inversion that has really inspired me to stick with a consistent practice. Working on handstand has been really motivating for me to come back day after day. So I hope that you find some connection to these practices and that they motivate you to want to come back into your body and move it, and just pay some attention to this vessel that we spend our life moving through the world. So you will want a couple blocks for this as we do some warm up, and then access to a wall that doesn't have anything on it. If all you have is a door frame, then you're welcome to use a door frame as long as you're on the side where the door opens outward towards you, because you don't want to accidentally fall if you didn't properly close the door, or if it's a little bit not super firmly closed. And again, you don't want to be fighting with a picture frame or some kind of object on your wall. All right, so try and find a clear space against a wall and we'll get into some inversions. We're gonna keep the warm-up pretty minimal for this practice. So if you are looking for a longer warm-up, you can find some of my mobility videos here, almost any of my other classes here, but on my platform, I've got some specific handstand and inversion warm-ups. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, I'll have another YouTube inversion warm-up that is available for free. But with that being said, let's find a tabletop and just address our wrists. So you can start by just kind of rocking side to side, and then walk your fingertips to face out to the side. You can find a side to side or forward and back movement. And you'll try that same idea, moving your fingertips in every single direction. If it's easy enough, you can take some circles, trying them both ways. And then you'll flip your fingertips all the way around so that they go towards you the awkward way. So both ways that they flip towards you. Really good. You can let all of that go and we'll find wrist push-ups. So leaning the shoulders forward, keeping them forward as you lift either one heel of the hand then the other, or both together, and then dropping them either one and then the other or both together. So we'll do it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Really nice. Reach your right arm out in front of you, swing it back behind you, and then flip the hand, land the hand down so that the fingertips face you. Take your left arm out in front of you, swing it all the way behind you, reach back and down, and the fingertips will land flipped towards your knees. And this time your right hand's gonna go backwards, sweep it back, forward and down, fingertips land forward, left arm goes back and forward. Good. One more time each side, all the way through with the flipped wrist. Whichever direction that the fingertips are facing, that's the arm, that's the circle, or the direction of the circle of the arm. Gorgeous. Beautiful, nice big arm circles there. You can find an easy puppy stretch if it feels simple enough, maybe a downward facing dog. Get a little bit of length out of the legs too. Take a few squats into the legs. Very nice. Awesome, you can bring your knees to the ground. Here's where we're gonna grab those two blocks. I'm gonna ditch this sweatshirt off to the side. So grab your two blocks and we're gonna do our L-sit practice as our warm-up. And you'll kick your legs out in front of you and hold on to blocks with either a C grip or your index fingers hanging out on the top of the block. Lift your hips, pull your hips up and back, and then we're just gonna pulse 5 times. Pulse them up and back. 5, 4, your heels can stay down. 3, 2, and 1. Good, take a seat down. We're gonna do that 2 more times. So this is just to warm up our push and a little bit of the core strength and some of the leg engagement. All right, so lift your hips up, pulse your hips back. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. It's this feeling that you're trying to lift your butt up and back behind you as if you could pull your legs through your arms and then stand on your feet. Whether or not you can do that is not the point. It's just this engagement that we're building. Let's do it one more time. 5 pulses up and back. Pulse the hips up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very nice. You can let that go. Set the blocks off to the side. Give yourself a breather. Awesome. So we're going to take ourselves over to a wall and do a little bit of forearm stand at the wall. So I'm going to slide this over so that my elbows are on the mat rather than on the hardwood. For our handstand drills, I won't use a mat, but we'll get there in a second. For now, I'm going to create a little nugget at the wall and put my elbows on the ground. So I want to be able to shift my shoulders forward and still have the balls of my feet on the wall. So this is my little like nugget shape that I'm creating at the wall. I'm going to walk my feet up the wall. I have my socks on. If you're a beginner, I wouldn't necessarily recommend socks. It might feel better for you to have a little bit more grip against the wall. Socks might be a little too slippery. My nails are painted and I don't want to scratch my walls with my nail polish. So I'm going to keep my socks on. I'm going to walk my feet up the wall until I can get them to a place where I'm comfortable. I want to shove the floor away like when I'm lifting my butt up and back or the top of a push-up. And I'm going to look slightly forward. I might not be able to see my fingers, but it's okay. I'm going to lean forward a little bit with my shoulders. And I'm going to continue to push. I might split one leg off, but I'm going to keep the other leg on the wall so I've got this contact. I'm not going to worry about the straightness of my line. I'm going to keep leaning my shoulders forward and think that my other foot starts to get maybe a little bit light on the wall. I can let this back leg bend and kind of hang a little bit to help me get some weight off of the foot, but I'm not going to worry too much about coming off of the wall. From there, you can come back down. Take a breather. All right, if you didn't split a leg off the wall, that's totally cool. But as you work this belly to wall sensation up the wall rather than back to wall, we're starting to build the proprioception and the strength that it takes. Proprioception is just your awareness of your body in space. So you're starting to build some awareness of what it takes to get upside down. And then you're starting to build some of the strength that it takes to enter your inversion. A lot of people practice inversions back to the wall so that they can be caught from falling, which like makes sense logically. But when we actually are training to be able to hold in the middle of the room, it's actually not the best way to train that skill specifically. Not that it's not a worthwhile thing to do, it's just not the best way to train for jumping in the middle of the room or entering your inversion in the middle of the room. Belly to wall is actually better for that. So if you're interested in doing things freestanding without a wall, I would try belly to wall and see what it's like to tip forward into the inversion. All right, so you're really look at my line as I do this next one. When we are aligning ourselves in an inversion, we are taking our center of gravity, which is our belly button. That's generally approximately where our center of gravity is located, is in our abdomen. And we're bringing that over top our point of balance. So the center of us comes on top of the thing that we're balancing on, right? Makes sense. So what I want to do is try and get my navel over top this space on my forearms that's just in front of my elbow joint. It's like closer to my wrist, a little bit less than halfway through my elbow. And that'll kind of depend on your shoulder mobility. If you have really tight shoulders, you might have to lean further forward. But if your shoulders feel relatively open in this orientation, then I would think slightly less than halfway, all right? So look at my line, the side of me and my navel. I'm gonna use my nugget on the ground. I could even walk my nugget in closer. Send my legs up. If I wanna get closer, I can inch my elbows in.
And so this allows me to find even a straighter line. I'm going to bring the tops of my feet to the wall so that I don't use the bottom of my feet quite as much. Shove the floor away. The most important thing that you will learn, shove the floor away. Lean forward with the shoulders. Keep a tight core, tight legs. And then you try and float off of the wall rather than kick off of the wall. So if you look at my navel and the center of my belly, the center of me, seeing that it's stacked over top that kind of shoulder position that is just in front of the elbow joint. Yeah? Beautiful. I'm going to come down. You can pause this video to give yourself a few tries in that, and feel free to spend some time in it and, take that, another 5 times if that feels like you have the energy to. Be sure to rest in between. Give yourself a solid 1 or 2 minutes between sets. But for the purposes of this being a video online, I'll let you kind of pause and play, and I'll just keep moving on to our next drills so that you can see what the heck else to practice. I'm going to slide this out of my way, and we're going to turn our attention to handstand. So the same idea with handstand is that I'm going to bring the center of me, my belly, my navel, my center point of gravity over top my point of balance. So in a handstand, I'm going to balance approximately in this region, yeah? Between, that's approximately where I'm lining up my shoulders. Your shoulders might be more here over top your index finger knuckle. They might be a little bit in between the index finger knuckle and the thumb. So I want my shoulders to come forward in a handstand. When I say shoulders forward, that is towards the fingers. When you're upside down, it's gonna get a little bit like what is forward, what is back, yeah? And then I want to alert us to something that immediately is important. When you hear open your shoulders in a handstand, this is what it means. So open is pulling the arm back so that it frames the ears. It won't necessarily feel that way in a handstand that you're pulling your arm back. It's more that you have to lift your ribs. And when you lift your ribs in a handstand, it's actually pulling your ribs down and in and trying to puff them into your back body. But when you're upside down, it's a sensation of lifting your ribs, all right? Everything is opposite in handstand. Okay, so first really useful drill for a handstand is an L handstand. We saw these a lot on the internet for a hot second, that everyone was like, boom, boom, and they did this like whatever thing. So the reason you don't want to do this is because you're too far. So if I want to create this L handstand, I want my hands where my bottom foot is so that I'm close enough to the wall that I can still reach for it. And also I could get my shoulders on top of my hands. So I'm going to set my hands up here. I'm going to walk. I'm going to put one foot on the wall. All right. I really like this entrance for beginners. I think my foot goes near my butt, and I'm going to press the ball of my foot into the wall and kick my other leg into the air. So I really only have one leg that touched the wall. My other leg is up. Now I can keep this knee bent and just work on leaning forward and being like, oh my gosh, that's so scary. Okay. But I need to get comfortable here with my shoulders forward while I push the floor away and lift my ribs in order to come into the handstand. I might be able to fit pointing my toes. I might not. If I have to lift my leg up the wall because my hamstrings are a little tight, that's fine if I can't quite do the split. But I just want to get comfortable leaning forward and so far forward that my foot gets light on the wall. Anytime we're doing these belly to wall drills, we are not kicking away from the wall. The idea is that we're starting to learn what it feels like to be precise in our entrance and precise in our alignment. So using the wall helps us fine tune and start to memorize exactly where that point of balance is, so that when you start to kick in the middle of the room, you're so familiar, embodied in a physical way with what it feels like to be in a handstand that you know how to get yourself there and throw yourself into it. But the wall time is not time to practice that. The wall time is time to practice the position and the precision to getting there. Practicing jumping is for another video, not for this one. All right, so L handstand at the wall, that's a great one. If L handstand either went really well or is not going well depending on your body, if you've got really tight legs, it might be a harder one to do. Generally, people love an L handstand. Another one we might try is a half tuck or a single stag. They are essentially the same term. It's slightly heavier because your knee is bent and closer to you, and that just makes it heavier, which is great if you want to get stronger. Okay, so I'm gonna show you that one. I'm gonna get closer to the wall for this one. So I do recommend that you're comfortable walking into the wall. I'm gonna show you how to do that. So when I'm walking into the wall, I'm transferring my weight to one hand, walking the other hand in, transferring the weight, walking the hand in. And I'm gonna do that really dramatically with my hips and my legs. So I can try that same method where I put one foot on the wall and then I can step both feet up, because this one I want both feet in. I'll walk one hand in closer and the other hand in closer. So I just got a little closer to the wall, about a shin's distance. I'll find my little split. I'm gonna put the top of my foot on the wall again. I'm gonna bend my knee, let my knee come a little bit low. It doesn't have to come lower than my hip. From here I lean forward, I push, 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 push. And then I just lean forward so that I try and float my toenail off of the wall. Maybe I can curl my heel into my butt and feel really comfortable. And then when I'm ready to be done, I can move one hand forward and bring my feet to the floor slightly off to the side, but save enough energy that you don't break your face, please. These are meant to be like fun and engaging and interesting and not harmful to you. So please save enough energy that you can come out of the handstand. That's our single stag. Great way to level up your strength. Trying it on each side is awesome too. So those are two really fundamental handstand drills, and I'd recommend, you probably have enough know-how of how to do back to wall. We're not going to go over it in this video. Recommend that you would do those at least 8 out of 10 times. So if you're going to do 10 attempts to do a handstand, then 8 of them are belly to the wall and 2 of them are back to the wall. You're just going to get so much more information when you do belly to the wall, so much more transferable information. Back to the wall is really useful when we're learning how to fine tune certain skills and strengths. Right now, we're still maybe learning how the heck to even put ourselves in that position and even hold ourselves in that vertical line, which is not a simple task. Okay, so last handstand drill. We're gonna do it actually on the floor for body position. So I'm gonna bring my mat out again, and we're gonna lay down on our bellies and create a handstand on our bellies. You know what, first, before we get there, let's do it standing. We're gonna do both. All right, so zip your legs all the way together to touch, sweep your arms up and overhead, flip your palms up towards the ceiling and high five the ceiling. So lift the shoulders up by the ears, crawl them up as much as you can. Try and disappear your neck, tuck your tail, pull your ribs down and in really dramatically, and then try and shove your fingertips back behind you so that your shoulders open. From here, lean the weight into the balls of your feet and maybe float your heels up and draw your vision up to the ceiling. Squeeze your heels together if you want to stand on the tippy toes here. Get really tall, pull the shoulders down, pull the ribs down, lift the shoulders up. Good, release all of that. We're gonna try that on the ground now. So lay on your belly. You can lay down, I'm just gonna show you. I'm gonna try and bring this space right between my collarbones, your sternoclavicular notch, there we go, notch towards the ground. So I'll show you what I mean when we get there, and we're gonna try and lift our belly button off of the ground. Okay, so those two things together. I can have my arms overhead, and then I'm gonna try and tuck my tail so that my
belly button lifts, and I can send my fingertips in front of my abdomen and feel that my belly lifts. And then I kind of want to cup my armpits towards the ground, lift my low belly, and try and press the space between my collarbones down. If you want to make this harder, you'll crawl your arms further forward. Try to zip your legs closer. For me, it's really hard to get my legs all the way together here, but maybe you can lift your belly up while you press your pubic bone into the ground. Extra points if you can lift your arms up.
Yeah, so however hard and weird that was, a handstand is probably gonna feel pretty similar to that for a little while. That drill is always like a little bit harder for body position than holding it in space. You'll start to figure it out for yourself the more you practice those. One little piece of advice I always give my handstand students: if you're looking to improve upon this skill and really interested in taking it somewhere, you have to practice a minimum of 3 times a week for 30 minutes to really see improvement. If you're like, whatever, I don't care about improvement, I'm just gonna like mess around and have some fun, don't worry about the frequency at which you practice. But if you actually want to see some development of the skill, if you want to start to hold handstands longer, do different shapes, be able to jump into it spontaneously, you really do need to dedicate some time and attention to that practice in order to acquire that skill. But once you get a certain level of skill, you can really hold on to it for quite a while. So take the time in the beginning, put some effort into it, and there's a lot of fun to have with it. It goes all the way up. You can keep going from here. So I hope you enjoyed this practice and got something from it. Thank you so much for your time and attention. If you're still watching at this point, really appreciate you. And I'll practice with you again soon. Thank you so much.